Welcome to Surviving the Dream with your hosts, Casey Arnold
and David Conley.
We're here to talk to people who seem to have their dream job and find out, what did it take? Is it what they imagined? Is it worth it? How do they do it?
Join us as we uncover the secrets of surviving the dream. Hello, Casey. How are you?
Hello, Dave. It's always good to hear your voice. I'm happy to be back here.
Oh, I'm glad we're back because I've got a great guest for us today. You're going to like this guy. Yeah, you like a big bang, don't you? You like.
Have you heard? It's true.
Well, this guy has got rhythm. This guy is one of the world's best drummers. He's just got back off a world tour, and we're lucky enough to get him here today to talk to us about how he survives the dream. We've got the one and only Gianluca Palmieri, all the way from Napoli. How are you, sir?
I'm very good. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And you grew up in Napoli, right?
I did for 24 years, which is quite the time.
And you're 28 now, right? Is that right, John?
I wish. Thank you for that.
TV, in LA, we're never the same age as we are.
Exactly. In LA, nobody wants to say, how old we are. So, let's keep it at that.
Yeah, he just does a lot of drugs. So, Gianluca, tell me. So, you always wanted to be a drummer, is that right? I was reading your bio, and
Yeah. I was lucky enough to have my father have that passion that, when somebody, he wanted to be a musician. My grandfather wasn't that happy about it, and so he always had that dream inside that wanted to come out, and he never did. And so he saw in me, the chance of having one musician in the family. So he was playing piano and guitar, and he got me a little drums. And so kind of he gave me the input for that. And pretty soon I decided that I wanted to do that. So I actually quit video games, which I was very passionate about. I said, I can do either or. And thank God I chose the drums.
How old were you?
When I started drumming?
Yeah.
I was 13, actually. I just turned 13. I started playing with my father. I actually started with piano first. It was actually weird because I started singing with my father when I was 10 at parties because my sister also was a very good singer and actress.
He just had kids to fill out the band.
Yeah, exactly. My mom didn't play anything and didn't act at all. She was just like emotional support.
What kind of mother is that? Come on.
I know, but she was a teacher, and she passed me the teaching, love, passion, so at least that one. But yeah, so my sister was singing, my father was playing piano, and I was like singing first, and then I tried with piano. It didn't go very well. I was just feeling too, it was too constricted in one space. I don't know. I just didn't feel right. And then my father bought me one of those little toy / semi thing, like that with the pads, electric pads. And I started kind of joking drumming, just following the tempo with him. And so he realized, I said, oh, you have a good timing, so let me find a good teacher. And then when I turned 13, I was super lucky that I found an amazing teacher that seriously saved me so much time in life. And I'm, super grateful. He was probably the most severe and strict person that I will ever meet in my life. But in 5 years, he gave me stuff that usually would take 10 years. So he really pushed for like crazy. But, thank God I was able to follow. So
How much of drumming do you think is innate and how much of it is taught? Did you come in with him being like, we got this? Or was he just browbeating you the whole time until you had it figured out?
Well, let's say that I wasn't the best student, meaning that, I tend to lose my focus to get distracted from other things. So I really have to put everything aside when I'm practicing. And those years, 13 until 18, you just want to go out and play soccer as a good Italian, I was a goalie. So
hold on. If you had a choice, if you could have been a soccer player, I we'll call it soccer for the Americans here, or a drummer, what would you do?
Well, money-wise, I think that's not an option. I think probably the soccer player would have been a smarter choice. But
It's the right answer. Yeah.
there you go.
But what would be the dream? What fuels the dream and the joy more?
It's just
It's still
something.
soccer. It's still soccer. Okay, so you're talking to two Europeans. What do you? Everyone's got a dream, and then they've got soccer. They should have another word for it. Yeah.
An Italian and a British is like, it doesn't get more soccer than that. Yeah, exactly. But no, I think it's like, now that I'm the teaching is such a part of what I do. Like in my everyday. I understand how important it was to get the right person to pass me that passion, because it is the most beautiful job in the world for me. But it's also one of the most complicated and risky that you can have nowadays, also because it changed so much. But he got me that passion because, as I said, he was very strict, was very severe, but he was so passionate about it. That's why he's so severe, because he really wanted me to succeed. And so he was able to pass me that passion with this, emotions that he had when he was playing. So looking at him playing, the more I was seeing him playing, the more I wanted to be like him. And he was so smart that also made me understand, it's like, you don't have to be like me. Just I'm giving you this, but then you have to develop your own voice, which is the real thing that is going to make you desired from other musicians, because you do have your own particular thing that nobody has.
So how do you develop a drumming voice?
A drumming voice? Well, I'm still developing it, so it's a never-ending process. I think the easiest way to explain it would be that so much has been done in music history. So, try to compose, to write a song that doesn't remind you of anything else. It's, almost impossible. But what I say is that we all love certain things. We all love certain artists. So, like, I'm the product of everything that I listened in my life, all my favorite bands, my favorite drummers, my favorite artists. And so if I can choose a little brick from each one, like one thing from everybody else, and then I build my own wall, and then at some point the wall is so big that you cannot recognize what brick is that. So I'm the product of all these bricks, and it was able to become a unique voice at that point.
How did you just come off a world tour? And I'm cheating here a little bit because you told me this story, but you told me you were playing Wembley in London a few weeks ago, which is about 14,000 people, right?
Yeah, it was a little more than 12,000 people.
And how was that experience?
I mean, it's strange because you decide, I still have my list of my top places, like my dream places that I want to play. And slowly I'm writing some of them off. That was definitely one of them, because I listened to so many albums that were recorded there. I saw videos recorded there. And as a venue, it is an ex-swimming pool. So it's weird, the shape. And
is that true? You just taught me something here, that used to be the swimming pool.
That's what they told me. That's what they told me, because the shape is usually it's a little different. So if you see, for example, the Crypto Arena, it's kind of more like, it doesn't have that narrow type of shape. And Wembley really emphasizes that shape. So they explained why. And basically they covered this swimming pool, and now, you don't see it anymore. This is a story that the keyboard player from the band, the boy band Blue, told me actually the day before I played there, because I had dinner with him. And
with Blue, hold on, that's a big little name drop there for an Englishman to hear. Wow,
I know exactly. You, as a British, you remember that band. But so he was the one explaining me that, because he played there a few times, and it just feels there's a vibe there. There's something that when you're on that stage, you walk on stage and the ice, like just the eyesight in that moment when you walk on stage and it's empty and you see it, and there's always that 1 second where you think is like, wow, I made it to this one point in my life.
I was going to say, what's going through your head when you're at the back? When you're at the back, you're drumming away, and there's 12,500 or 12,000 people out. What are you thinking about?
So many things. Well, I'll tell you this, and I don't know if I told you this, but it's strange how sometimes your brain works, because even if in a moment where you have to remember all your parts of the concert, our concert, it was with probably the biggest Iranian artist on the planet. Her name is Googoosh. She's now 74, but she's a powerhouse. She's, I call her a rock star. She's a diva, but like, if you know her in person, she's really a rock star. And so I have to remember all the parts because we have so many things, like the visuals behind us. So everything has to be in sync with certain things. And there's pyro, sometimes there is fire and everything. So it's like all these moving parts, I have to focus on my craft. But now we're playing this concert so often that it feels much more relaxed. But still, you see all these people, you're enjoying it, and still sometimes your brain just like drives off, just like when you are driving to Vegas for 3 hours and then you don't remember how you got there.
You could do Vegas in 3 hours. Wow.
No. 3.5. Let's be real.
I'm still impressed. I'm still very impressed.
3.5 on a weekday, like 2 p.m. But you don't know how you got there. So at some point towards the last song, I seriously started thinking that I had to finish my taxes. I swear to God.
That is like the greatest ad for H&R Block ever.
I love that. I've made it. Oh, I've got to get my tax return in.
I know. And seriously, in a matter of 10 seconds, like I kind of woke up from that moment and I was like, what are you doing?
So here's a question: Is that?
Did you pay your taxes? Is the question.
That too, but maybe you don't want to have to answer that. Is the dream to like play live and play shows like that? And also, how long into playing shows like that did it take for you to be thinking about taxes, as opposed to like, fuck, I better not fuck this up. Okay, what's next? Where are they? The fire's coming. Nope, I'm not freaked out. I got this covered.
Yeah, that is the reason why sometimes you see this massive names in drumming worldwide playing with artists that play very simple songs, because the amount of calm and like relaxed that they have while they're playing such a big show is because they've done it many, many times. Obviously, you never get used to that. The big crowd, you never get used to the emotion of that. But certainly after a while, it starts to feel bad. The first 3 songs are usually the big thing, because your nerves might be a little bit tense. So it's like, and then you slowly start to relax. That's why it happened at the last song, the taxes thing. But,
I want to see you in concert now. I'm thinking, I wonder, I wonder what he's singing about right now. Is he?
His next dentist.
Yeah. Does that receipt count? Yeah.
I still can't believe it that it happened. But yeah, but in general, that's a good question, because sometimes they tell me that, when they see me playing on stage, like it almost looks like a quote unquote, I don't care. Meaning that like you see me that relaxed and they ask me, it's like, are you not enjoying it? And so sometimes they confuse the relax that you have on stage with the fact that you might not be enjoying the thing. But the reality is that drumming is such a physical instrument. So I worked my whole life to get to a point where I can literally do the minimum effort and have the maximum result without necessarily like just using all my power all the time.
Which brings us to capital gains, which is 0.135 on the tax return. No, I mean, so how fit are you?
There's our audience.
Yeah. Sorry, sorry, I was just going off in my head on tax returns. So how you must be fit to do that, right? I always, whenever
we work out together, so that I try to
that's true. I'm giving that away. This is he's fit. He's fitter than me, but and that's not saying a lot. But you must have to keep. So I always think that about drummers, right? It's not
like they have to burn a lot of calories. Their arms are crazy fit.
Yeah,
you're moving. Like, do you need to train physically? Like, if you stop working out, does your drumming suffer?
It does, certainly. I try to be active every day in somehow. So when you go on tour, for example, when I'm here, obviously I have my routines, so I do my workouts and everything, so that's easier when you're here. When you're on tour, a lot of people get in a place where like, oh, I'm on tour, I'm just gonna sleep as much as possible. For me, since I'm on tour that much, especially lately, I just came to a point that, okay, if you're out that much, you cannot stop your life every time for this. So you kind of have to keep your routines in a way. So hotel gyms, in the room, you just have to have a little bit to have it, to be active every day. Then I do eat a lot. Yeah, definitely. So people that see me eating says like, how come you're skinny and like this? Is like, that's not possible. Where do you put it? But drumming does consume a lot of calories, and in general, I try to be active every day. Even in like in college, I'm always walking back and forth. So you consume every time, and that's part of what this instrument is, because you're using all four limbs, 2 hands, 2 feet. So you're constantly moving. But I can tell you also that the actual strength that you have, like the I don't know, you're lifting something, is very different from the movement that we have, because there's not much pulling, there's more pushing, and there's certain movements that we do that are very specific. So it's more like micro muscles that are working all the time. So like our tendons need to be relaxed in a certain way. That's why when you're on tour, it's not that you just do Wembley and you're like just like, all right, let me go just like all out, and then the next day you're miserable, like everything hurts. It's like, oh my God, just like bring me home. No, you have another concert in Frankfurt in another day, and you have to be able to deliver the same performance. So there's got to be some type of conditioning to that, so that you have, you have that kind of training to have the maximum result with minimum effort. So with time, I just try to consolidate that more and more, so that I'm able to do like longer tours maybe, or like when the tour has like every day a show, for example, with an artist named GREG HOWE, guitar player from Michael Jackson. I played with him for 15 years, and we had some tours, like 37 shows in 7 weeks.
Wow.
And it was an hour and 45 minutes of pure like rock fusion, power trio, 6 minutes drum solo every night. So you really, really have to save your energies as much as possible. Sleep much. In one day you can be in 2 different countries and leave again. One day was actually 3 countries. I'm not kidding. And so like your body's already under stress. So it's like work your way to like minimize that and have maximum effort. It sounds a little nerdy, but it really saves your
life. It sounds like young you would be like, nah, man, we're gonna party and have all the babes and drink every night, and you're like, not if you want to keep doing the shows. We're not.
It is. Yeah.
Do you worry about injuries? Because I always think about, I remember once being on tour as a comedian and I was getting a sore throat, and I thought, oh, no. And I didn't want to talk all day. And I thought, God, imagine being a singer and thinking I'm not going to hit that note. Do you worry as a drummer going, oh, actually, I'm a bit sore today?
I had any type of injury. So next year is going to be my 30 years anniversary of playing drums.
30 years? Oh, so we all know how old he is, because he gave us his initial age. So
I'm 42. I'm 42.
Oh, yes. Oh, we were going to ask the listeners to write in and give them a prize for that, but never mind.
I mean, they cannot even see me, so they can
well, now we'll have to share a photo. So
yeah. Oh.
I have a lot of gray hair. I have a lot of gray hair, so that doesn't help. But I started when I was 22, so that doesn't help either.
Yeah.
So.
It's because of his tax return stresses him out so much.
That happened in LA even more. Yeah, more gray hair. But I think I forgot the question.
Injury. Do you worry about
injury?
Do you
Yes,
worry about injuries?
I had so many different ones caused by so many different things, because especially the younger me wanted to just like go all crazy all of us, like no warm up, let's just go. And that's mistake number one. So you
learned the need for routine for the hard way.
The hard way, yes. So I had my tendinitis pretty much everywhere, because it is a repetitive motion. So and now I can tell you that with the hard way, I learned how to, make my body work in a smarter way instead of just like in a heavier way. And I was able also to develop other techniques that allow me to really, really relax every part of my body and still be fully functional. And one of the heaviest ones was definitely my for example, there was a tour in 2018 where I was doing boxing and kickboxing for 2 years. It was great. I was feeling great. Kickboxing is not the perfect sport for drummers, so whoever is listening, just please don't do it. And
I'm just writing that down. No kickboxing if I go on a drumming tour, right?
Because as careful as you want to be, your wrist is just gonna hate you so bad. Like whatever when you're doing hooks and all this stuff. So that summer I pushed a little too much. So at some point my thumbs, my tendons in my thumbs, both thumbs, like started hurting so bad. And then here we go. We have 37 shows in 7 weeks. So how am I going to do this? And every show I had a bucket full of ice, and I had to like massage my thumbs with ice every night.
While you were playing, you were doing that in between numbers, or?
No. Just at the end of we didn't have a break. So it was one set. And at the end, my tech basically was bringing this thing full of ice, and I would do a little massage with the ice cube. But in that case, I tell the story because in that moment I was like, okay, I'm not gonna be able to play the way I usually play, so I have to change something in order to relax the parts so that it doesn't hurt. And somehow I discovered that, for example, I was inhaling too much while playing, and I wasn't breathing correctly. So I started, just like when you meditate, that all of a sudden, some voice tells you, it's like, relax your shoulders. Okay, oh, wow, I was with my shoulders in tension this whole time. I didn't even know. And the same thing happens with breathing for a lot of musicians. They just do not breathe right. And we're not able to breathe normally, like in normal life, while we are so concentrated. And so we hold that breath so much that just affects the oxygen everywhere. And so there's a lot of tension going on. So that one was my full discovery. And I was able to get through that tour almost without even sweating at the end of such a long concert. And
because of your new way of breathing?
Because my new way of breathing and the fact that everything just was working so much more. It was flowing so much better, and it was a really an eye-opening moment for me, because it was such a change from what I'd done before that it made me look even more into that kind of technique and that relaxation and bringing almost like a meditative state to the performance, so that you can really isolate the tension and just make it work in a better way.
So when you teach, do you teach that kind of stuff now with your playing? Like, do you teach your students the tricks, or do you want them to have to learn it the hard way?
No. I'm very passionate about like giving the best that I know, what I learned. I want them to feel better and to be more functional on the instrument, because it is fully a physical instrument. So it's like if you start doing my mistakes, you end up with the tendinitis that I had. So if I can save you that step, I feel better.
So when you get a check for doing a show, I'm not going to ask you how much you get, but do you sometimes pinch yourself and go, I get paid for doing the thing that when I was 12 years old that I just dreamt of doing for the rest of my life. How's that feel?
I probably don't think exactly like that. I still think that I never worked a day in my life.
Right.
Because I'm super tired and like that tired. We like changing, like the last tour I changed 4 time zones in 1 month and I was really sleeping bad. But still, to that point, I'm still thinking that I'm doing something that I'm so passionate about. So it really doesn't feel like work.
And
Uh, yeah.
what does your dad think? Are you living your dad's dream?
The joy that both of my parents have, because you have to understand that my father wasn't sleeping that much, just bringing me to the gigs when I was 14 and going to work at 7, waiting for me, because in Italy they start playing so late, like the concert starts at 10:30 or 11 p.m.
Oh.
And so he had to wait on me and
You were
finishing.
so you were doing gigs when you were 14.
My first gig was at 14 in a pub called Jobless.
Jobless. Perfect.
Yeah, it was basically like a reggae themed type of thing, and we're playing like Pink Floyd and Johnny B. Good, like the most random stuff, and I got 20,000 liras, which like, oh, okay, I got paid to do this, and that was my first paid gig, which was the second gig of my life. So I was off a good start, I would say.
I went to the same high school as Pink Floyd. Many years later, I must say. I'll tell you a quick story about that.
Say, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm glad you were going to say it, and I didn't prompt you.
I wasn't going to say it.
Yeah. The music teacher at the time when I was there, I think I was 17, said, "Do you want to come down to a pub and watch a band?" And she took us all out, and we all thought we were really cool because we were drinking beers in this pub. And there was a band playing of what we could. And she said, "What do you think?" And the band came over and going, "Do you like our music?" And we were like, yeah. And she checked beforehand to see if we knew who Pink Floyd were, and we didn't really. It was Pink Floyd.
Oh man,
they were checking out to see if the young crowd liked their music still, and I just thought how pure that was.
Pink Floyd was a huge influence. It was a big love of mine. My first song ever that I played live in front of a crowd was "Another Brick in the Wall."
Oh yeah, I love that song. Yeah.
And "Comfortably Numb." So in the same. So it's like they were really, really influential in my way of playing.
We don't need no education.
Exactly.
We just don't.
What do you think like makes somebody a hobby drummer versus someone who's able to make a living at it? I mean, it sounds like you had the supportive family and you started young and the helpful teacher. Like, is that what it was? Or like, could you still have at 20 been like, no, it's time to get a real job now? Like, what made you know that you could do it?
Well, as I was saying, so my father, I can only say, for each one, it works differently, because obviously the family is one of the main aspects, because, like when you have support, everything obviously works easier. I have an amazing family, and my father at the time was the biggest supporter. My mom, was more into, okay, let's do the university and, like, just get your bachelor and everything. So I think she wanted more of a doctor than a drummer, I guess. But my father was really the one pushing, and he was trying to convince my mom, like, no, I think he has a chance. But at some point, he was the one saying, it's like, okay, when I turned almost 18, he goes, it's like, we have to have a time. So like, we have to try for like a couple of years, like, so let's say 2 years. If nothing happens, we got to start looking at other options as well. So, and it was fair, like I understand also, because in Naples it's not that easy, like in LA. Not that in LA is that easy, but definitely it's harder because it's a smaller reality. So when that happened, like there was one event that was the game changer. which was getting a TV show in the house band. And that got me when I was literally 3 months after we said that phrase, like
Wow.
2 years, 3 months later, that
Amazing.
happened. So that, made that both of them understand. I was like, okay, so there's a chance, because the TV in general is the quickest way to spread the word. And everybody, it was a music TV show that every musician was watching in Napoli. So everybody instantly was like, who's that guy? And everybody was like 35, 37. I was 18. So it kind of looked strange a little bit, because my teacher couldn't do it. And so he trusted me, and he gave me that opportunity. And I did the best that I could. And then after that, I did another 2 TV shows. So that would led to other things. And so I think there's got to be, I'm a fan of the fact that you always have to think like there's no plan B. But,
welcome to the club. Welcome to the crazy club.
Company.
but at this point in my life, I think that instead of thinking that there's a plan B, I find it very interesting to have a passion B, something that you're passionate about, because having that, sometimes there's a saturation that happens with me in music where I don't get inspired. I don't want to listen to music. I don't want to practice. So going to my B passion allows me to come back to my A passion, even more passionate than before. So I don't see it as a plan B. I just see it as like allows some other things in your life, because they can only make you richer. It's not that you are diminishing the power of your main job / passion. And I think that's the recipe for happiness. Now at this point in my life, I realize there's much stronger than before. But if you want to be a professional musician, my suggestion is to really be ready to take any type of slaps from anywhere. So like whatever request an artist can have, or at least that's the way I do it, because I work in so many different styles and so many different situations, which could be, I don't know, musical theater, it could be a rock concert, it could be a pop concert, Iranian concert, and like fusion jazz. And that makes me happy. Some people don't like it, and that's fine, but you either get the success with one band and you become the drummer of such and such band, and you make your millions, hopefully, and you become a rock star, autographs and photos and fans, or you become like more where we say a hired gun, which is a hired musician for which is what I do and what I like to do, more than just working with one artist and that's it. And,
was that a choice? Was that a choice for you?
Like if you want to be in a band, you have to treat it differently, because you have to have your own project and invest in your project and really do a bunch of things. I did have my own band when I lived in Rome between 2008 and 2012. And I saw how much effort you have to do as a band leader and / promoter / musical director and / anything else, tour manager. So that is a different drive. It doesn't allow you it doesn't allow space for anything else. So you just like tunnel vision on that band, do everything. The believing in the project type of things, like no plan B, over there it's very extreme. So it's like it has to work. Like if you think anything else, if you don't believe like 110%, I don't think that's the right path.
You to me are a perfect example of someone who is surviving the dream, but there's got to have been sacrifices. What are they? Yeah, you went, oh God, no. Oh, what are? Yeah.
No, it is true. It is true, because it is a very sacrificed life. Mm-hmm. Whoever is, if you are a touring musician, you're going to be away from home. So find somebody to water your plants or take care of your house, or you cannot have like steady things. So for me, teaching, for example, I have to always balance those two things out. So my students know that I have my touring activity. They know since the beginning, so I have to miss a few weeks. there's a lot of stress caused by that one. So
I must be clear, you're teaching drumming, aren't you, though? So it's the same discipline. You're not teaching mathematics or
no, I'm teaching drum. Yeah. So yeah, it is very sacrificed because you first of all, you're never musicians in general, they have very, very different months in terms of like incomes, and you have to be able to be reasonable with your savings, because obviously 1 month can be the best month of your life, and then maybe you have 3 months quiet. And
does this sound familiar, Casey?
Yeah, of course, like every artist.
Also, now I understand why you're thinking about your taxes. You're like, right, last month, this has been a good month. Yeah, this will make up for last month.
Yeah, and like, and there's musicians that can live day by day. I tend to be an anxious person, which I work on it every day, but there's got to be a nice balance between like not stressing out about the future every time. But for example, I consider myself pretty organized in my job, also because I'm not the person that waits for the phone calls. I actively do stuff to make those phone calls happening, or I'm the one like promoting myself, because I also do drum clinics, tours of drum clinics, so it's just me, so I'm managing myself, and I'm doing that myself. So if I have a quiet period, it's like, okay, this is the right time for me to make this happen instead. And so you become a good manager of yourself, and that is a good way to manage that fear of like, oh my God, nobody's calling me, there's no artist, and what am I gonna do? I have to, like, let me drive Uber here, like, let me just, it's really about mental stability, and like just try to not stress about money too much. Like it's hard to translate a phrase that my father told me once, but he told me two things that really resonated with me, and like that I try to remember every time that I have some stress or something that is not right. And he told me, it's like, instead of like get preoccupied about money, just get, I don't know how to translate, but it's like occupy yourself for money, meaning like don't get it with the fear, but just like be active about it, and just like keep doing your things in a
like don't focus on what you don't have, focus on creating opportunity.
Correct, exactly. So
I just thought I'd jump in there and channel your father.
yeah, and he told me that, and then he told me one day, it's like, real happiness is desiring what you already have. And so those two things really changed my perspective about a lot of things. So, and
Dad. Do you still love drumming? Like, if I'm imagining, like, I'm a writer, stand-up is a little more cathartic, but like, sitting at the keyboard writing is a little bit like relieves stress because you can channel stuff. But I feel like if you're a drummer and you're having a bad day, like, you could really like just let it out. Like, is it ever like drum therapy more than it is, precision playing?
It's hard to, for example, for me, when I'm like very nervous, or like, and I really feel like relieving my stress, I cannot really drum. I don't know why. It doesn't feel good to me. It just gets me in a state that is like a little bit forced in a way, so I don't get very inspired. So for that, usually I have other things, like that I do, like could be, like a hike, or like, I don't know, I love the floating therapy. It's really amazing. But
hold on, floating therapy? Did I hear that right?
The deprivation tank. Can I tell you, I did that and it wrecked my ears. It made me the deprivation therapy, you mean, right? Where you go in like a little tank. It's like a little like matrix egg. It's highly salinated water, and they play music, and it's supposed to like stimulate like rebirth and peace and like floating in the whatever. And I also went, and it sounded amazing, but instead I went and somehow got like a bunch of water or something in my ears. And
That's because you're a comedian. Something has to go wrong so that
like,
you.
oh, did you think Trying to Be Reborn was going to go better the second time? Nope. Get what you get.
Well, I'm sorry to hear. I had a
Be
little
careful
bit.
when you go. That's my warning to you. I don't want you to wreck your hearing.
Yeah.
No. No. I didn't have that. Thank God. The only thing is like if you have a small cut, that salt, like kind of burns.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
oh,
the
I
only.
can feel that. Yeah,
Yeah.
That's what would happen to you.
yeah, probably. I'd be rebirthed as a cesarean, and they'd just cut me out in the pool, just going for it.
No, but in general, like coming back to your point, is like it's. You asked if I'm still in love with drumming the same way, and I still am. I'm a little more practical these days compared to before, that I was more dreaming in every way. So like I see things now in a more efficient way, because also, the more you go on and the more things you have to take care in life and plan a little more things. And, the organizational side of my job takes over a little more the practice time. So I wish I could practice a little more than before. And I wish I would have listened to one of my teachers when he said, it's like, practice now because you're not going to have time later on. And he was right. He was very right.
We never take those hints when we're young because we think there's more time than there is.
No.
So
talking of time, we are running out of time now.
We're running out of time. But what is the dream now? That can lead into our questions. Like, is it still the same? You're saying how it's shifting.
I'm surviving it, and I'm still making it happen, and I will do it as much as and as long as I can. I will try to also cultivate my passions that I have about other things, and I think that will make it even more interesting again when I look at music together with other passions. But yeah, my love for music, it will never stop.
So let's go to questions. Casey, you want to kick off? One of your favorites?
Sure. Well, I was going to ask you, if soccer and drumming were off the table, is there any other career that you would consider doing?
Probably in the food industry. I would probably decide to be either a chef. I probably like cooking is my strongest second passion. So I would probably decide to be one of those like cursing and very, very angry chefs, like not Gordon Ramsay level, but a little more mellow. But yeah, definitely probably that.
A little more Kitchen Confidential.
So this is a new question from me, because you're from Napoli. I'm trying to work it out if it's possible. Did you ever see Diego Maradona play live?
Well, thank you for saying Napoli and not Naples. That was really kind of you.
It's the kind of guy I am.
No, I've never seen him, unfortunately.
But good. That's
but I can say this: it's like, so me and my father, we don't like soccer that much because we had too much soccer in our family, so we got saturated by that. But my grandfather was a referee of World Cups, and he got to be with Maradona many times, and I saw photos of the two together, and so like at least he did it for all of us already. So
that's beautiful.
Kind of through him. So
did he ever give him a yellow card?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. Thank God for that. Okay, sorry, Casey. That was a rogue question coming in, but
that's okay. They're living the dream for you. I get it. Sometimes we have to live our dreams vicariously.
Yeah. Exactly.
All right. So since being a chef would be the backup, and you're from Napoli, what's your favorite snack?
Snack? Oh wow. Man, my habits changed so much lately, but I was so in love with sweets. So in Napoli, I would go either for like those little foldable pizzas that you can find, or like the little fried several different snacks.
Mm-hmm.
Or I would go for the sweets, because in Napoli, I just read a chart of the best regions in the world for like food quality, and Campania, which is the region of Napoli, is number one in the world. So
Wow.
yes.
Well done.
Well done.
We're all
Yeah.
booking our tickets to go there now.
Very proud of that. So very spoiled on that. So many snacks. Nowadays, I try to do something more on the healthy side. I change a lot of habits. So basically, I try to make everything by hand. So even the milk or like cashew milk, anything. It's like I try to make it as Nutella. I do my own. So I love doing that and doing snacks like that.
I love that. My dream would be to be, my backup would be to be a holistic chef. So I got you. I'm into all that kind of stuff too.
Holistic chef. I don't know how it works, but
check it out. I think you'll be into it.
Stay tuned. We're interviewing a chef next week.
I'll look into it.
We're going to be. So okay. I want to know, what if you won the lottery? What are you going to do with all that money?
Oh man, I don't think I would be that happy, to be honest. I really don't care. I chose to be a musician. Do you think I really care that much about money? No, but I would probably buy a boat. That's one thing that I would love to do.
All right.
And if it's a lot of money, probably a private jet, so all the travels can be a little bit easier on me.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Good.
You got to make the lifestyle easier. I love that you get to do what you love doing and that you have found ways to make it still be joyous and maintain your sanity. You need that structure and all the uncertainty. Dave and I both very much understand that. Anyone who's a freelancer listening understands that.
Yes.
Well, all right. Final question then. What's your favorite animal and why?
My favorite animal? Man, I never thought of that.
That's why you're here, to answer the tough questions.
We're changing that.
Yeah.
I love the elegance of a panther.
Ooh.
I think it's one of the most elegant animals in life.
Right.
One, because he's wearing black very beautifully.
Yeah.
And I think it's an animal that, knows when to do certain things, when to be aggressive, but also when to just be in his own place when there's no need to just burst out. And I find it very, the mystery behind those animals, like those, they can shred you apart, but also they can be very sweet. So panther has been one of my favorites, definitely. Yeah.
Wow, we got it. We got the hard question out of him.
You got me thinking about it.
But I feel like if we had more time, we could definitely dig into some interesting relationship stuff with that answer.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Oh, well, that's all we have for today. Gianluca, thank you so much for sharing your story about how you survived the dream. I think inspirational, actually. I learned a lot today. Yeah, really appreciate
also,
it.
Parents out there listening, encourage your kids, because look how amazing it can turn out.
Yeah. Look, you probably get them nice presents and Christmas and everything. Yeah, listen up, parents.
Well, having a drummer, be careful, because a drummer it's pretty loud in the house. Just be aware of that. That's the only advice that I can.
You can always start out on a pillow.
Yeah,
True. Or phone books. Phone books are also a good one. Yeah.
I remember I read Dave Grohl's autobiography, and he said he started out on pillows, so it can turn out okay for some people.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. This was fun.
Thanks for being here. This was a pleasure, and can't wait to go listen to some of your music.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Quick shout out to Mike Nicholas for being our tech savior, and Carmen Sclafani, also known as Wiser Time. Thanks for our music, and thank you all for listening.